Hi, I'm Phyllis Sykes, and welcome to Cultural Lifestyles. We here on this podcast like to have conversations about anything related to global, international, or just cultural events in our community. We like to think of the global world as one big neighborhood. And I'm fortunate today to have a conversation with a young lady who is a senior at the University of Michigan-Flint, and her name is Miriam Zayadi. She's a senior, and she has a really interesting perspective of a student who is not necessarily from Flint, but has lived here in Flint. And I'll let Miriam tell us a little bit about herself, how she ended up being a student at U of M Flint, her major, and welcome, Miriam.
Thank you. So I am a senior at the University of Michigan-Flint, and I'm majoring in English with a specialization in writing. I feel like people should know, should hear how I was able to come to Flint and why I chose to go to the University of Michigan-Flint. I applied to many different colleges, but I got the best sort of aid, and the University of Michigan-Flint reached out to me. It felt more personal. So I went where...
Now, where did you live? Did you live here in Flint?
No, I lived in Wayne County.
Okay.
And that's where I went to high school and middle school. But I didn't originally know there was a University of Michigan branch in Flint. And when I tell people that, they don't know either, because they hear about Dearborn, they hear about Ann Arbor. But I applied to Ann Arbor, and the application went to both of the sister schools. And Flint reached out to me, and they offered me, through the Promise Scholars Program, which is now known as the King Chavez Parks Program, they said if I go through the Summer Bridge Program, which would start me I started college the same week I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
So they offered housing for 2 years and 2 free courses that summer. And the idea is you start with these 2 free courses, and that sort of makes the transition easier for you. They give you mentorship, and they give you a cohort to start with, and that kind of becomes your support group and your initial introduction to Flint and coming to college. So people came from all over. And then once I accepted here and I moved here, I found out, my mom told me, "I'm just glad that you got this financial aid, or else you wouldn't have been able to go pursue education." And I had no idea. Like, I just always thought there's some sort of saving for me.
Oh, you thought your parents had prepared for you to
yeah,
go to college.
But my parents did immigrate here, and I'm the first generation American in my family.
Where are your parents from?
My parents are from Iraq, and they immigrated here in 2000. And I grew up with a single mother, so that's kind of where, I assumed there was a fund for me, but I don't know where. My mom was always confident like that, so I never really worried. And, she always had that trust that things would work, and they did. So I did get that funding to come to Flint, and I really fell in love with it from there.
You fell in love with Flint.
Yes.
I mean, we don't hear that often about Flint. And I as a Flintstone, have been here for a long time. So what was it that you, because you're about to leave, you're about to graduate. So what is it that you have found so endearing about the community?
Well, at first, I just felt, and this, I don't mean to be offensive, but I just got the attitude from other people that, why didn't you get into Ann Arbor? And so I kind of felt, oh, this is the secondary thing. So I didn't pay attention to all the beauty that there was. I was like, let me pursue the education here, and I kept applying there because my mom pushed me like, it's okay, you can still go. And it was kind of the idea of, it's okay.
That you can still go to Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
Okay, you
and
transfer.
Yeah, and the idea was, it's okay not to be discouraged, but it's good that you got financial aid. And I just wish I didn't have that perspective, because it's its own thing. They're under the same name, but they're not the same school. Ann Arbor has this whole idea that it's cosmopolitan, that's fast-paced, and that everyone's there. But everyone I meet here in Flint, they fell in love with Flint too.
Really?
Yes. And
now tell me why again?
Every single person, it's a familiar theme.
Okay.
It's not one person says this and another person says that.
Okay.
All people I meet here that aren't locals, they observe that there's a sense of belonging here. There's friendliness, and there's it's diversity and acceptance of each other despite that. Versus in any other place you go, like, we're all different and we're all different. In Flint, we're all different and we're all in Flint. That's kind of how it feels. And I pointed out to some people, I'm like, man, people will smile at you here and they'll just wave at you. And they'll be like, well, yeah, don't be rude. But it's not like that in other places. And it's just sort of, because we're all here, we're a community. And in other places, a place is just where you are. In Flint, it's the person you are.
Okay. I think more people need to hear that about Flint. People
I
like
wish
me
people knew that.
that take things for granted. And
yeah, I think Flint locals are just used to how it is here, and they don't see how special it is. A big example, if you want to look at the beautiful qualities of Flint, you can hear about the international students and the international people coming here. They told me one international student, and through the Flint Global Center of Engagement, the international students are just thriving there, and they love it here. And I was talking to someone that studies abroad who is a Flint local, and they said Flint has a great international program. So
okay.
I feel like people don't realize how internationally focused Flint is, that it is an international hub.
Okay.
So speaking to just one of the international students, they said they originally they live in the same area that I live back home. But they originally went to U of M Dearborn, and it just wasn't, and it's not to knock anyone, it's just to highlight what Flint has that's sort of different. They felt more of a sense of belonging here, that people were friendlier, more accepting, and that the faculty treat you like a peer. That was just friendly, and that you can talk to people and there are things to do. Versus in U of M Dearborn, it's not that people were unfriendly, but there's just not as many events and there's not as much outreach. A big thing about Flint is that it's very personable. There's outreach, and people want more people to come here, and I don't understand why they don't, but I think...
Well, I could tell you some things, like, we don't have that, and I'm surprised, because we've heard this from other younger people, is doesn't have the best social life for like college students, like when they want to party, party, whatever young people do, that there's not a lot of places to go for students, and so they frequently end up going to Ann Arbor or Lansing or Detroit for, that kind of social, setting.
I think
if that's what you're into.
If that's what you're into. And I do know the party people here in Flint do go to Eastern, they go to Lansing, they travel around to party. But I think when you're looking for something, for lack of better words, more intimate than that, that's rarer. You can kind of party anywhere that has drinks and people and a venue, but where are you going to go to have dialogue? And a stability and a sense of acceptance and belonging. And I think that's what Flint brings that is kind of hard to find.
So it's not a party place, is what you're
yeah,
saying. It's not party,
yeah.
not known for party place, but it is known for some more intimate, social, intellectual kinds of conversations and connections.
I would invite international communities here because they need a little more... they need people to connect with. They need kind of a support system. And they don't want hustle and bustle and overwhelming. They just want something familiar to help them get used to the area and someone to rely on, someone friendly to look towards. I would invite the international community. I would invite anyone who is an artist and a creative, because you can kind of touch base more with humanity here. Just looking around, you find murals. There's always an art exhibit. There's always music, photographers, musicians. These are the people you run into here. And when I told this to someone recently, they felt artists don't come here. They leave here because there's not a lot of opportunity. So I'm not sure why there's not a lot of opportunity, but I think if you want to be inspired, this is the place to be, and if you want to have the dialogue, this is the place to be. Because Flint is a cultural place full of history, and it suffers when it's away from its history.
Speaking of history, one of your projects that you did
Yes.
Was with regards to, was it the St. John's
Yes.
project? Tell us about that class and how you ended up with the project and what you learned from it.
So my senior seminar capstone class for my entire education is about writing the region. So we're writing about Flint and sort of the extending regions. And the idea is you just have to pick a topic that interests you and talk about what's in the area. I just became extremely interested in the international groups here, and Flint has a great deep international root. So I learned about the St. John Street community, and that's what I'm doing my writing project on. So I'm kind of researching the era of the global village, which is around 1925 to 1945, roughly. That's the peak area. But the that neighborhood is historic for so many reasons. It was a global village for that time period, but then after that, it was a historically black neighborhood. And there's a lot to say about that because, of course, through building the Interstate 475, they suffered through urban renewal and displacement, and I'm not sure how well the community was able to recover from that, and it was kind of tragic.
It was, because it happened, because I lived through it, and I think one of the interesting things about the St. John Street area and that project that you learned about is that that area was very global, was very international, because back then there were people, not just folks like my parents that came from the south up here for jobs at GM, but people came from abroad, all over the world to come to Flint to get those good paying jobs. And so it was an international hub then. And everybody seemed to get along then. I don't know what, things changed, but but that history is important because that's what we're trying to build on. Flint's always been an international little hub.
So I think that's important for people to recognize when it comes to what Flint's all about, that they have this deep and rich history that I was surprised to learn about and surprised that other people don't know about. Even if you try to research it, there's very little talking about the historically black era and urban planning and urban renewal. So there's some information about that, but there's very little information about the international era. I think we need to have more research and more information publicly available about the whole span of this neighborhood because it wasn't around for long, about less than a century. So I just wish more people knew. But I am studying the international era because I think it's not just about what it represents for Flint's origins and Flint's history. It's something that everyone around the world should notice and see how this community of people, despite all their differences, there was very little conflict. It was extremely harmonious. And there's this idea of a melting pot. People think America is a melting pot, and when people get along, it's a melting pot. But specifically in that neighborhood, they were kind of against that idea. They thought, we're not one thing, we're not melting together. We're each different, and that's okay, and that makes us better. They celebrate each other's differences, and they loved each other's differences. They had nationalism without divisiveness. There's a big conversation right now about how being proud of your own group or speaking out and advocating for the community you belong to can cause divisiveness. It makes you separate. So they're saying, if you want to be together, why are you separating yourself? I think this is an important lesson that you can be separate and that's a good thing. And you can differentiate yourself, and that can make your community stronger. It's not to say I'm different and I'm better. It's to say I'm different, you're different too. And
right, and let's celebrate the differences.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
let's honor and appreciate the
And I
differences.
think that's the strength of this neighborhood. They loved each other's differences. The Christians would attend events at the mosque, and the Muslims would attend events at the church. And everybody, the Jewish bakeries and the Jewish businesses were staples. I think it was called Pabst Drugstore.
Pabst Drugstore? Okay.
Or Pabst, maybe?
Okay.
It was the Jewish drugstore, and it was historical. Like, everybody knew it. And the Belkin Bakery was a big one.
In the St. John Street area?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just tried to research what made this community so strong, that why can't we have the same thing now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Things are different, and that's
Mm-hmm.
But they're different and then they're not. But I think if the community knew
Mm-hmm.
that history,
Yes.
then they wouldn't freak out as much.
I
And
think-
feel like these people are coming to take and
Absolutely.
take our jobs and all that, when that's not the case at all.
I think at the very least the story is inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
That
I agree.
when I was presenting these ideas and research to my class, they were kind of surprised. Could it really be that way, that there was no conflict? They thought, could it really be that idealistic? Maybe the people that wrote about it were just reliving their best memories.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you check out the St. John Street PBS documentary and the
Mhm.
Sloan Museum Oral
Mhm.
History Project, even in the historically black era, they said the same thing. It was harmonious and
Mhm.
everybody got along.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, like, all these accounts are repeating the same idea, that it was peaceful. I think a big part of it is the houses are so connected, and
Mhm.
it's such a small area.
Now you know why they were in that area is because they couldn't
Yes.
buy houses.
Yeah.
There
So
was that redlining thing.
So it was because of redlining, and most of them worked factory jobs. So it was St. John Street is an industrial neighborhood, and because of redlining, African American people were restricted to the south side of
Mhm.
Flint and the St. John Street industrial neighborhood.
Mhm.
And the immigrant population and the African American population were restricted to working the foundry, because that was
Mhm.
really considered the lowest job of the
Mhm.
factory. So
Mhm.
no one was really hiring any better position, and it took incredible tolls against their health.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a really inspiring history. A sad
Yes.
sad too.
Yes.
But it's something that we'd like to
Mhm.
build upon, to show that
Yeah.
Flint is, it is resilient. And so one of the
Absolutely.
things about where we are here at this
Mhm.
particular church is history's kind of sort of repeating itself, because we do have a increase in immigrant
Yes.
Cuban
Mhm.
residents, and
Mhm.
so my understanding that there are several families that have purchased homes in this neighborhood.
Mhm.
And so it's our hope that we can have that kind of dialogue.
Yes.
Things are different, but still bring people together
Mhm.
to talk, to learn about each other, appreciate each other, and live harmoniously
Yes.
without feeling like there's a threat of you taking this and I'm
Absolutely.
wanting that.
Mhm.
Because as I said earlier in the program, really the globe is just one big neighborhood. And it really is. And so the more we can educate people and
Mhm.
get people to see that there's more in common than there are differences,
Absolutely.
maybe we'll have peace, maybe.
We can hope for it.
Yeah.
But the big thing is, we could be as different as we could possibly be, and at the end of the day, we're still people.
Right.
We all eat, we all
Cry.
yes. We all need a place to live.
Mhm.
We all enjoy art. We all enjoy music. So when I'm studying what brought this community together and how were they so different and had no conflict, and there was the World War, like
Mhm.
people, and there were like wars between these different countries. I can't emphasize enough how diverse this global village was. In 1919, Fairview School found there was 27 different nationalities just registered within their school.
Wow.
And I don't think that accounts for everyone.
Wow.
So that's 27 in one school.
Mhm.
Um,
So that
Yes.
was then when you went to school in your neighborhood.
Yes.
And so that
Mhm.
would say there was that many people
Yeah.
in the neighborhood.
People attribute it, they say there were so many Eastern European
Mhm.
people and there were European people, and it was kind of a white neighborhood. And I think that erases a big part of the history. There were Mexican people, Middle Eastern people. It was really everyone you could think of and everyone you can't even think of
Mhm.
that was there. And countries would be at war and the neighbors would still
Mhm.
be friendly to each other. It just shows we don't have to, the conflicts going on politically, they don't affect who you are as a neighbor and who you
Mhm.
are as a community member. So when I'm looking at what made this community get along so well, besides they're stuck together, it was a village because it was so small and
Mhm.
so crammed in.
Mhm.
But besides that, there were so many events. We can talk about education and dialogue, but there's nothing quite as effective as exposure.
Mhm. Mhm.
They were exposed to each other and they saw each other all the time. They held barbecues, picnics.
Mhm.
There were always events. Oh, a big reason a lot of the immigrants gravitated to this specific area is because that's where the International Institute was.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they needed support. They
Right.
needed help. They needed advocacy, translation,
Mhm.
help with
Mhm.
citizenship.
Mhm.
That was a huge resource. People came specifically for that resource. And I see that reflected today. People come here for resource and acceptance and knowing they're going to have some support here
Mhm.
versus somewhere else where someone may not pay them any
Right,
attention.
Right, they're on their own. Right,
Mhm.
right. So you've had a rich experience. It sounds like you could be an ambassador for Flint.
I would love to, and I would. I would advocate for Flint in any place.
Mhm.
In a different country, I would advocate for
Mhm.
the city of Flint.
Well, we may hold you to that. So what are your plans after graduation? Do you know yet, or
I'm
you're
not
in the
sure.
middle of finals?
I'm still in the middle of finals. As you know, I'm interning for the International Center of Greater Flint.
Yes, I didn't mention that. Yes. Miriam is an intern student working
Mhm.
with us, and we're so sad to see her leave. But
And it's really the perfect job because it's the International Center, which took over for the International Institute. And it's position marketing, and I could market for Flint all day. My plans for after graduating, with my writing, I did want to work with nonprofits, and ICGF is a nonprofit, so I'm kind of learning from there. I don't have anything lined up after, but I can't imagine anything better than this. I would hope to do something similar and advocate for marginalized groups. And I hope to return to Flint.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do want to move here. I'm surprised. I think a big reason that people don't move here is because you can work in Flint and you don't have to live here because of the interstate. It's easy to get in and get out. But I think people are really missing out on the tight-knit community, the friendliness and the warmth here. You don't have to live here long until you start kind of knowing everyone. And everyone is doing these remarkable things. Everyone has such an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, well, who knows? You may be back. But well, I want to thank you for
course.
sharing your experience with us, and also wish you the best in your future
Oh, thank
career
you.
endeavors. Who knows? You might stay right here in Flint.
Right.
But again, I want to thank you, and I thank you for joining us. And if you want more information, please reach out to our website, icgflint.org. Thank you.